Hello, my name is Lucas. This is Bit of Lit. I'm here to talk about A Room of One's Own by Virginia Woolf. I read it in this Penguin Classic edition, and it also has 3 guineas, which I will also read because every time I return to Virginia Woolf, I feel intellectually reinvigorated. So, yeah, I'm a big fan of her. She's definitely a favorite of mine. A Room of One's Own is quite a strange book in many ways because it feels like an essay. It also feels like a speech on a speaking circuit around women's colleges, and it also is fictionalized. um, and that's because, as she says early on, that it's for such for such a heavy subject like the question of women and fiction, which is what this essay gets to the point of. It's impossible to be objective and tell the truth, but maybe you can and just present facts and get to the truth. But if we can engage with it creatively and use fiction in a way, then we can, yeah, we will have our lies, but maybe some truth will be mixed in and we can really start thinking about it. And that's what she does. She lays the groundwork down and the foundation for her argument about how women historically have not had material wealth, essentially. So they've not been able to be, they've been impeded in many ways, in ways that men have not. And she really dives deep into that. Never particularly blaming men, I feel like. Maybe some soft pokes here, some hard jabs here, especially when it comes to when she starts talking about Mussolini or other fascist ideologies. Certainly, she had some opinions about that. We'll put that lightly. um, um, yeah, I mean, she definitely goes into how fascist style of thinking is sort of the peak of masculine behavior, and how it does seem that in some writing, because this woman, she tries to go into a library, but she's not allowed to go in because she's a woman, and if she's a woman that wants to go in, she needs to get these ridiculous things that men wouldn't have to get. And she lays down the groundwork using that and some other things as well, to then later start talking about women that historically have written and had success. There is an interesting part where she's looking around for books about elsewhere. She's looking for books about women, and has seen lots of men have written a lot of things about women, but there are very few, and it's near impossible to parse through because there's so much. And women have not written nearly as much, and she gets into that. What is really interesting for her is that lots of men have written about women, and a lot of women have been very powerful in some of these stories and narratives and whatever histories and whatever else. And women have been written about a lot. Meanwhile, historically, women could barely read, could barely spell, had almost and were basically property. Were not basically were property of their husbands at this time in England, and all this is the groundwork to make the point that for fiction, for women, they need their own money, and they need their own room so they can have their own space, so they can think and they can grapple with ideas. And yeah, just, I can't do it justice at all in any way. There's so many different things that are not coming to me that I thought were really interesting. um, because it's just something I need to keep thinking about. I will parse through this a little bit more and think about it. I keep saying parse. I will look through it a little bit more, uh, maybe throughout the week, to continue thinking about everything that's in here, because I just love it. What I really like at the end is that she sort of lays, we start to lose the fictionalized way of like the fictional approach and using that as rhetoric, to more addressing the situation when she starts talking about the literary history of women and also what rights they've had, essentially, or what rights they have not had. And by the end, she sort of says, like, if I remember right, like, try to save something for yourself and get a room of your own, and write anything. Don't just write novels. Write anything you can, because books have a habit of influencing other books and other writers and whatever else. And you will also be laying down the groundwork for women in the future. And I think that's sort of inspirational and really cool, and I like it. And there was a thought that just popped into my head about what I was saying, and I have lost it. Something about the oh, what it one thing that is really, like, really effective. It's a kind of metaphor, I suppose, or a, I don't know exactly what it would be. I guess a rhetorical device. When the fictionalized person in a room of one's own, this woman with no name, is thinking, she doesn't even try to come to answers. She's just thinking about it. And whenever she seems to be getting anywhere, she's interrupted by, when she's trying to go into the library, or any other time, some other outside force, some man or some other thing, is interrupting her, and she loses her train of thought. And or yeah, just moves on to the next thing, at least. And when it becomes more about addressing the audience, I suppose, this kind of thing continues on, but it's not about being interrupted. It's sort of like, oh, I won't go on about that. It's kind of like she's going into detail, but then she changes the subject on purpose, and you have to kind of fill in the blanks about where she was going to go. I mean, that's the way I take it. I don't know. I really like it. I'm going to be going through it again. My favorite parts. There were a lot of really great parts. And yeah, I can't possibly do it justice. It's just a good book, okay? And yeah, after this book, I guess I will be reading The Brothers Karamazov. And then maybe I'll do Three Guineas, and then maybe Their Eyes Were Watching God, and then Oliver Twist. I don't know. Anyway, Virginia Woolf, A Room of One's Own. Excellent. Women need money and a room of their own to write fiction. Okay, bye.